Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by the REC Toycast. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me as always,
Erik Icarus.
Eric.
What's up, my man?
You can find us on the gram at REC Podcast. You can follow myself at Roman REC Podcast, and you can follow the Bomb Dude.
Gulag _J_ Wheeldon.
Ladies, slide in my man's DMs, all right? He's COVID free. You know, his breath is always fresh. Okay, I mean, this guy brushes his teeth constantly. Okay, you know, and then obviously, look at that. Look at that. How could you not want that? All right. Oh man, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Good. I had a long week already, a tough week, but
Yeah.
I might be going back to work this week,
heard.
man.
It's the rumor.
So I'm pretty excited about that, and it'd be nice to get some money. But yeah, you know, everything's going good. I watched The Last Dance. You know, I've been telling you, I've been trying to watch that. And although it is pop culture. You know,
big time.
You forget how good Michael Jordan was, man. You forget just like a man amongst boys, and there were such great players.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, was he perfect? No, but man, you just forget how good he was. It was so fun to watch. Did it need to be 10 episodes? I'm going to say no. However, I love the way it's shot. It's just a big problem is that every episode is the same. And dude, like you would crack up at this because it was just like, dude, he is the pettiest man ever.
He seems like it, dude.
You know, you hear those things, you hear them say it, but yeah, he is just so petty, but he literally just uses every little thing as fuel. But this was the whole thing every episode. Like, you know, oh, this guy didn't shake my hand after a game.
Yeah, I heard Bird talking about that.
He's like, that's all I needed. You know, and then he just like goes on this thing, like, but literally every episode, it was just like, this guy, you know, he winked at me weird. That was all I needed. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, this guy, he put pickles on my sandwich. So I killed him.
You know what? I mean, I can't blame him for that one.
Dude, it's so funny, man. It's so crazy to watch the greatest basketball player ever. And I don't even want to talk about it. And I'm not even like a huge basketball fan in terms of like getting into the LeBron and the Jordan thing. But the guy was the greatest. He was pettier than anybody. I don't know if he has any friends. Because even like, there's this guy who's like his, like, I don't know if he's his business manager, but it's like his assistant. And then it was like / best friend. And it's like,
so why did you have to put that in?
Yeah.
There, you know?
And dude, this guy looks so broken. Like he has like no emotion. And I'm like, all right,
Jordan fed off of that.
If that's your best friend, yeah, he's like, look, just open up a vein. I need to feed off your
main
joy.
line off it.
But
so
yeah,
he flies,
dude. Oh my gosh, I really think you should watch it when you get a chance.
I really want to. Man,
if you like the first episode, I think you'll enjoy the whole.
Oh
series.
yeah, I mean, it just seems so fascinating, and you know, because me and you were alive during that time, you know, and a part of that, you know, just being a part of the Bulls, like. Dominating every year.
Everybody was a Jordan fan when we were kids. Like, yeah, you were a Lakers fan, but for the most part, you really liked, you know, watching Michael Jordan play. Even I think one of my great regrets having been not gone to and seen Michael Jordan play.
For sure.
You know,
and we could have easily.
Yeah, and I blame my dad. I blame him. You know, I just like, take your son to see Michael Jordan.
Come on.
Do you not know what's happening here? We're never going to see this type of play again.
I mean, you know, then we get Space Jam and whatever, and you know his $300 shoes and his Hanes commercial when he's got the Hitler stash.
Dude,
what's up with that?
You know, he messed up, and he was like, you know what, it's cool, I'm taking it back.
Bringing it back.
I'm bringing it back. I'm making it ours. But yeah, I think it's good. I don't know, I'm late to The Last Dance, guys. But, you know, it came on Netflix, and it's one of the few things I watched during my time off from work.
To the COVID shutdown, yeah.
So, but yeah, you should check it out.
I'm stoked to watch it, because I want to hear Rodman.
Dude.
I mean, I'm not necessarily a fan of his, you know, him playing basketball. I'm a fan of the person.
You definitely,
you know what I mean?
He's
a maniac.
You gain even more, like, if you liked him before, like, if you remembered, because I was a big Rodman and Charles Barkley fan.
Yes.
Like, I love this.
For sure.
One of my favorite things about Charles Barkley, he doesn't say it in his documentary, but I heard him on a podcast, and it's my favorite quote from Charles Barkley ever. He's like, I knew if I could get my ass on you, I could post up on you. He's like, I always made sure my ass was big. He just keeps talking about how big his butt is. And just like, if he could put it on you, he knew he had you.
You.
Oh my gosh. He's just so funny. But it was cool. It was, you know, watching and listening to Patrick Ewing.
And
Isaiah
and
Thomas,
Scotty.
And listening to all those guys. Dude, you forget how good Scottie Pippen was,
Scotty
man.
was the man.
And he would have been arguably the best player in the league if Michael Jordan wasn't there.
Yeah, Michael Jordan exists. Scotty did. Yeah, big argument for that, for sure.
And you know, they do talk about that season and a half that MJ was gone playing baseball. But and you know, the Bulls, they did well, but not
Sure.
Michael Jordan's just
he's Michael Jordan.
He's a plus 10 to everything. Absolutely. If you're a gamer, you know what I mean, in your stamina points or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, dude, you should check it out.
I'm going to. Oh yeah, I'm going to.
Dude,
I'll save The Last Dance.
There you go. Oh man, ladies. Did you hear about the bloodbath at DC Comics this week?
What?
Dude, DC laid off something around 600 employees. We talked about this with the Dan DiDio layoff.
We did?
Yes. We talked about this with the Dan DiDio layoff a few months back, kind of like in the early beginnings of the COVID, maybe like a month or 6 weeks later.
Oh, dude, we called this.
Well,
sort of. Remember we said they're probably going to be chopping, hacking.
I think that the industry felt this, especially when there was those rumors of DC Comics maybe for sale.
Yeah, or their parent company selling them off.
Yeah, AT&T is kind of the parent company of even Warner Brothers at this point. And, I wish I understood everything. I wish there was, better inside sources. Really just the sources are saying, hey, this happened. But there's no talk from the top. Like, I haven't heard Jim Lee say anything except for the fact that, his heart goes out to the people who are all gone and this and that. He's still on, but he's the publisher.
Yeah, it's Jim Lee.
And dude, and let me be clear. I wanted it to happen for Jim to get out there, because you telling me there's not a world in which Jim doesn't join Marvel and just light the world on fire? But we'll have to wait, guys. We'll have to wait. But not to make light of it, the biggest shock to me is that they closed DC Direct.
What?
If you take a look in any random area in my comic dungeon, there's DC Direct things everywhere.
That's the biggest news to me.
That's huge. That's huge. But it does make sense. Remember, McFarlane gets that deal. Yeah. So, and for years, Mattel had been making DC toys, and then DC Direct had been doing them. And those DC Direct figures, while they're beautiful, they're $27,
they're a lot of money.
$28 a pop.
Right.
And it's like, if you're the bean counters, you're only going to, like, why do we have two different people doing it?
Right.
I'd rather them do it in-house, but it does make it hard for people to get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Increases value for collectors.
Sure.
But the idea is to put these things in people's hands. So if you're going to have, it helps McFarlane Toys, because McFarlane kind of, McFarlane Toys, is my understanding, it kind of runs adjacent to Image. Like, I don't think it's tied to Image.
Right.
But, like, it is its own entity. Mm-hmm. And if they're able to mass market, because that was the big thing about DC Direct, they never really went to mass market, and I never understood why. I think it was like, we're a collector's only brand, which I think that there's a world which that exists, and it works well.
Definitely.
But I think, man, COVID was, I think anything that was on the fence, cut it. Anything that's on the fence. Yeah. There's talks of, do you think that another company should step in and maybe buy DC?
No.
Okay.
No.
Tell me why.
I think DC, as far as we'll just say the comic book entity of DC. Mm-hmm. I think the reason it's so good is because it's in house. They don't have a lot of hands going in there, a lot of cooks in the kitchen. They're able to just kind of boil it down to make it what it is. If you sell it off and get bought by something, people are gonna have their opinions.
Yeah, well, and I don't mean just like individual pieces. I mean somebody else. Like, I know they were saying I was reading an article about Paramount having some flush cash right now, and they were talking about maybe buying some theater chains. But I mean, if you bought DC Comics and you got those movie rights, you're already Paramount. You're already kind of still quasi independent from. Sure. You're not DC owned. You're not Warner owned. Right. You might need it. Let's be real. You might need it. And you've got Star Trek. You've done the Star Trek crossovers in comics.
That's a good point.
I think that what we're seeing is the meddling.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're seeing with the layoffs. And I think that what you're talking about, I think that's what's going on.
Okay.
And I would like to see somebody with some money to back it, even Amazon.
Sure. I thought you were going to say Michael Jordan.
Even Michael Jordan, maybe?
He's like, the way the Batman looked at me.
He's like, and then Roman Chavez said on the REC podcast that I couldn't buy DC Comics. And that's all I needed. And then just like that, like, the DC movies are better. I'm just putting that out there, MJ. I know you like cash. And whether or not you know it, you got a gambling problem, and you could always use some money.
Roll the dice on DC, man. Jeez, man. Come on, man.
So I don't know, man. Like the DC Direct thing kind of bums me out.
Yeah, me too.
Because
that was a big shock to me when you said that. I was like, what?
Because what are we gonna do for statues? What are we gonna do for like what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
You know, Bowen. You remember Bowen Designs?
Yeah,
they did all the Marvel stuff for a long time.
Totally.
I don't think Bowen has the contract anymore. I think they've lost it for a few years. I don't know. I don't keep up on that. But I do know that Marvel was getting away from the Bowen Designs. So I wonder if Bowen's available, if they're gonna contract out stuff like that. But again, the thing. It felt like doing it all in house was like the idea.
Yeah, big time.
Like we don't have to contract out to Bowen.
Right.
We don't have to contract out to McFarlane. But maybe that's just not cost effective anymore. DC Direct was around for 22 years.
It had a good run, man.
Dude had a great run, man, and I love. I mean, let's be real. Aside from Marvel Legends, I mean, DC Direct figures, their lack of articulation is made up for just by the sculpts.
Yes,
just how beautiful these figures are.
It's like every figure almost has a different sculpt.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you're not seeing a lot of the same heads. Now when you get those mass market ones, like
sure.
the Mattel, while the DC Universe Classics are an amazing toy line, man, I should throw up some pictures here. Maybe when I edit this.
A litlittle splicey.
You know, they have a lot of the same face syndrome.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was cool. While I loved the Four Horsemen when they were, that's what they're called, for Mattel.
Oh, think about the WCW.
or of the apocalypse. I think it's adorable that you went to wrestling more than anything else, more than X-Men related, more than the Christian Bible. Really, no. He went to wrestling.
The only Bible I subscribe to is the Ric Flair Bible.
Okay? Woo! Anyway,
yes.
Yeah, man, I'm bummed. Yeah, I mean, they got
bummer.
rid of the editor in chief.
Whoa.
They got rid of a third of the editing staff. How my understanding of like Marvel and DC Comics is like, okay, there's a Batman editor, there's a Justice League editor.
Yeah.
So what I read was they got rid of a third of the staff, of the editorial staff.
Jeez.
I have no idea what this means.
So are artists still around?
For the
writers?
Yeah, they're around, but there were some that had like exclusive contracts.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to hear what happened to Brian Bendis. I haven't heard anything about it. A few years ago, Brian Michael Bendis left Marvel, which was huge.
It's a big deal.
To bring him over to do Superman. I think he did some Justice League, which none of it was. I would have rather seen him do more Marvel stuff.
Totally.
And you could argue, look, I know Bendis is the most flaccid finisher, but man, he'll take you to dinner. He'd take you axe throwing. You're going to have an awesome date, but he might not seal the deal even though you want it. Okay? That's just what happens with Brian Bendis. The guy's a great idea, man. He's given us so much.
Sure.
Okay? But
he's got gimpy.
Yeah, he's not as he needs some of that what do they call that ginseng, as Snoop Dogg says. I need some ginseng, all right?
Oh my god! Yeah, no, you said that. Yeah, every one of his books, kind of peters out.
Yeah, every single one.
Yeah.
Now it's weird. A lot of his books are better upon review.
Sure.
Like when you go back to him, but a lot of his major, like I think he wrote really excellent when he was doing like the ongoing series. But whenever he had his major events, it was like this crazy awesome bill, and then just like the dip. I don't know. Maybe it's my expectation. He was just so good at the setup.
Sure.
And just
can't deliver.
8-ball just missed.
Oh yeah,
just missed. But so I'm curious to see what those exclusive contracts are, because for years, and I mean even still, when you're a smaller guy, like if me and you were writing and drawing,
even if people like Joel Jones,
we're getting paid by page.
Yeah,
we're getting paid by page. Whereas I think Bendis is just getting paid to be there.
Right.
And that's just
my
name
only, because you get those name recognitions. You can barter those kind of deals, but. You ain't got the cash.
Yeah.
You can't barter deals.
I think we're going to see. I'm gonna say right now. I think we're going to see a massive boom at Image, and I think we're going to see more creator-owned stuff, because at the end of the day, while I love Marvel and DC, I think that it's the writers and the artists that make it, and those characters that Stan and Jack and Ditko and Buscema and just all of these amazing creators did. They're playing in that sandbox, but we see stuff at Image all the time that's just really interesting.
It's good,
and they know. And what I like about Image too is they say, "Hey, I've got 12 issues. Like that's all I have."
Yeah, totally.
And they just don't milk it. Like I feel bad for Peter Parker. I mean, how many times are we going to kill Uncle Ben?
I know.
So
Peter.
So yeah, I'm curious to see what those things are going to do, but. Like I've been telling you, DC had been putting out pretty consistent, solid stuff.
Absolutely.
Mostly it's Bat related or Green Lantern related, but there is
even
still
their Superman stuff's been pretty decent.
It can be, but it's I don't know. It's pretty sad.
This is a bummer,
and I hope that it doesn't. I hope it doesn't push people out of the genre. Like these writers are like, hey, so. I hope not.
I think you called it. and I'm excited because I think, you know, it might go back to what we were talking about with the Netflix thing. You know, them losing a lot of these Marvel properties. Yeah, it's just going to breed me more creativity.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's going to be to the point where they're going to be like, oh, well, I have no place to go right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get more creator controlled and owned stuff and new stuff. And
nice.
I've been wanting that for so long.
I was listening.
I want new stuff, man. I want new characters.
I do too. And that's what's great about Image is that you can, like, if you want something that can be interesting and that's only going to last a little bit, you can get superpowers and you can get zombies and you can get murder and you can get funny stuff. But it's, you know, it's an appetizer. You know, you're getting your burger and fries always at Marvel and DC. You're always gonna get.
You're going to Burger King or McDonald's, basically. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know,
but I want my In-N-Out.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's better. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people know about it. Some people are privy to it.
And I mean,
some people don't like it though.
They don't, and those people are stupid.
Ouch.
I love In-N-Out. Look, I'm sorry, I didn't grow up with it, and it's so good, and I have friends who don't like it, and we don't talk anymore. Yeah, I don't know, man. It bummed me out. I'm curious to see what the wash is.
Where is this going to go?
Because by my calendar, we're 10 days away from DC Fandom. Sounds like the dome's going to be a little empty. Because part of this too is they're closing the DC Universe app. So their streaming service that just never got off the ground. That just like got a little bit. Yeah, they're closing that too. That's part of that 600 people. Dude, they straight up macheted this whole thing. They macheted this thing.
Now you just hit me again.
Yeah, I love doing it.
The DC Direct, wow, that's shocking.
DC
now
Direct's
this,
huge,
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That is a huge deal.
That doesn't sound like a company that, like I said, if Paramount or somebody else buys them, I'm not going to be shocked. It's like you're AT&T and you're like, I don't want this. It's like, dude, you're screwing up, and somebody's going to pick up the pieces, and they're going to rival. They're going to make you forget. They're going to make you eat this.
Yes.
And I think that we can benefit from it, whether or not it's indie, whether or not it's, you know, with just DC getting better.
Yeah, exactly.
Part 3, baby. Part 3 of our Before There Was an MCU. People seem to be enjoying this, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I had a different idea, and I'm going to look on my phone here because I took some notes and some screenshots. I wanted to go back real quick on our previous couple episodes, and I wanted to give you some tastes of what Roger Ebert had to say about some of these movies.
Oh, okay.
Some of our bigger MCU or just Marvel films.
Sure.
So we'll go back to Blade from our first episode that was mostly about Blade, and he says that just some snippets here, and I just think it's funny because I read this after we had our episode. He says, the movie directed by Stephen Norrington is another in a recent group of New Line Cinema movies that combine comic book imagery, noir universes, and the visual heritage from German Expressionism. I'd rank it third after Dark City and Spawn. Which, if you haven't listened to our episode, we definitely talk about how Dark City and Spawn very much seem to influence these things. So I thought that was really funny. He ended up giving it I wrote it over here.
That's classic, man.
Dude, I was laughing so hard. He ended up giving Blade 3 stars though. He said, you know, he actually said that he enjoyed it out of 4. I believe is his rating system. He says, Snipes understands the material from the inside and out and makes an effective Blade because he knows that the key ingredient in any interesting superhero is non-omnipotence, you know, but vulnerability.
Yes.
So it was nice to kind of hear what Ebert had to say, because obviously this is from a neutral guy who was renowned for his reviews, and he's going to be probably the most consistent guy that we talked to through 2007 when we kind of end this series. Yeah. So I thought it'd be fun to get his kind of look on this. He says Snipes understands the material from the inside and out. Oh, I already said that part. But yeah, he said, you know, it's fine. You know, he gave it decent stars. To our X-Men. He gave X-Men 2.5 stars.
Wow.
He says X-Men is arguably heavy on mutants. They have a way, in the way that they come on stage. The leads are Wolverine, he says Hugh Jackman, whose fists sprout deadly blades. You know, he kind of goes into the character development, but he just goes on to say that like it might be too much, and that he doesn't know if the X-Men is going to be a franchise that
sure,
keeps
it's not
going.
viable. How wrong was he?
You know, when you go back and when you start seeing the thing, especially when you start seeing the MCU, he's not wrong, but I mean, obviously
we knew
we got at least 10 or 12 movies in the X universe.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So we're going to hit 2002 this time. 2002.
This is a big year, man.
I think this is
huge.
Arguably where the rubber hit the road. We were getting that traction. This snowball coming down the hill is becoming a problem. But we're going to start with some smaller things first. Comic book villains. Did you ever see that in 2002?
I did not.
This one is fun, and actually this one is interesting for people in if you're a comic book person. This was a movie that was written and directed, I think, by the guy who did LXG, like the director of LXG, which is okay. I know that's not saying much.
We'll get to that one.
Okay, we will. It'll be on our list eventually, but it's about this small town, not a small town, but just a town where this guy who's like an avid comic collector and kind of like a legendary, like, oh, I've heard this guy's been collecting since the 60s or since the 40s or something like that. He dies. And his mother, who's a very old woman, gets left his comic book collection, and there are these two rival comic book stores trying to get it. And what was really fun, especially since I worked in a comic book store for so long, like one of them was like really into the had like a really dingy store. It was like really into like getting the stuff, but like it's by Donald Loesch. He's that guy who's like, I gotta get this, and like he wants to hire somebody to steal it from the gram or from the mom, or to like kill her and get it. And then the rival one is like a guy who has a very clean store but just doesn't care about comics. Like the way he's like holding them, he's like gripping them in his hand. He's like leaning on them and stuff. Like, but he's got like the clean, and he's selling everything for way more than it's worth and this and that. And it's just like about these different guys. And Cary Elwes is in it, and he's like he's the village, the like neighborhood, like he was like the badass in high school, but he just like never got out of the town.
The guy that peaked in high school.
Yeah, peaked in high school. Yeah. The bully. He's still like wearing a leather jacket, and like he gets hired to like take out the old lady. It's a ridiculous movie. It's not great, but if you like comics, it's really like there's a lot of numbers and years of like comic book stuff.
Sure,
a nerd, somebody who appreciated comics wrote the movie. You know what I mean?
You enjoyed that aspect to it.
Super fun.
Cool.
It was worth one watch.
Okay,
I haven't seen it since, and but yeah,
so Donald Loesch from Blade.
Yeah, from Blade fame.
From Blade fame. Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of which, Blade 2, one of our big ones that we obviously will focus on. I mean, this was a great follow-up. We touched on it briefly in our first episode about Blade, but man, when you saw this trailer, you knew this was really before I really knew who Guillermo del Toro was. I had heard the name because I was like Guillermo. Like I had never seen the word Guillermo written.
Yeah.
I had cousins named Guillermo, but I never saw how it was like written.
Yeah.
And this movie blew me away. With the exception of that terrible CG when the vampires like come to Blade in his place.
Yeah.
Other than that, the movie's so solid.
Guillermo del Toro just, this is another layer to comic book movies where you're adding, taking the horror to it, and taking the time to perfect the horror.
Yes.
Doing
what you do and doing it in the Blade universe.
I mean, Guillermo is his body horror is second to none, except for maybe a Cronenberg.
Yeah, it's very Cronenberg inspired, but like sleek.
Yeah, because they're called Reapers, right?
They are called Reapers.
Yeah, and they eat vampires basically.
More or less, yeah. They eat anything, but they'll also hunt vampires.
And again, I can't. We can go on and on about it, but it's just a better movie in my opinion.
Yeah, it takes it up a notch.
It's a better story. It's more fleshed out.
It is more fleshed out,
and the effects are just there.
Yes,
to me this is the one. This is the the first one definitely felt like, okay, this is Blade, cool, awesome. I know the character now. This actually felt like a Blade comic book. Like from the 90s, where you're getting the darker aesthetic, the violence.
Yeah, it felt like it had that, the curtails were there, and then we were getting more of a modern interpretation where you were adding the kind of, they added some science to it.
Oh, big time.
They added more. They gave us a pretty decent explanation of like who the vampire, like what these Reapers were, like why they were constructed.
Totally.
Made. Spoilers, kids. Movie's 18 years old. But it was it was crazy, and just like every difference in the Reapers was an improvement.
Oh, for sure.
And it was really, I loved, probably my favorite thing was how the heart had like bone around it.
Totally.
To keep it from being staked.
Exactly. It's the mutations that it would work out to get there is amazing.
Yes.
And, got to give a shout out to Ron Perlman, killing it as Reinhardt.
Yeah.
Just kind of the quasi-racist
Yeah.
Is he a vampire?
Yeah,
that's
he's
right.
part of the Blood Pact.
The Blood Pact,
which was
that's
cool.
right.
I mean, again, we always talk about Midnight Sun stuff. I mean, a Midnight Suns versus Blood Pact would have been so cool.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean we can't get it now, but, I just don't know. It would be cool if they could bring back Guillermo for this new MCU version.
Sure, he ain't doing it.
Nah. He's done what he needs to do.
Yeah,
for sure. I think he's done tap dancing for the studios.
I think he has. I think he's proved himself, And another crazy... One thing I hated about this movie was we get Donnie Yen.
Yes.
We were like, oh man, this is going to be amazing.
Yes.
He's a vampire. He's going to be slashing and killing.
Swords.
He's got swords, and then he dies off screen. Yeah. Unceremoniously.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Snowball. His name is Snowball. Dude.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Okay. And then, he just... Oh, he's not with us anymore.
Yeah. We didn't even see like a vampire version of him. He just gets eaten.
Yeah, he just
doesn't
gets
even turn.
We don't even see him.
Yeah,
like
we don't see the vampire. We don't see the Reaper. Yeah.
Then we just get this like thing over like their whatever you want to call it. Like like he's dead.
Yeah. Oh no, Donnie Yen's gone.
And
I was so bummed about it.
That was it.
Yeah.
I wonder if he just walked off set.
He's like, this sucks, guys. I'm gonna go.
I'm out of here.
You guys know who I am?
Yeah, I'm Donnie Yen.
Yeah, it was a really fun cast. It was a really interesting idea. The fights were good. It's just I don't know that Wesley Snipes has chemistry with anybody. Definitely
Woody Harrelson.
No, you're right. White man
That's
can't
it.
jump.
That's it.
No, Money Train. Yeah, no, totally. No, you're absolutely right. That's the only person in Hollywood he has chemistry with. Because they force in another love interest with like the daughter of the vampire king or whatever. And it just wasn't. It wasn't anything. Do you know who that I think his name. Oh God, what is the vampire? Like something. Danica Talos or something like that.
It's something like
that. Do you know who that is? The actor. I don't know his name, but he also played. Oh my God, from Hydra in the monocle.
Oh, Von
Strucker.
Yeah.
He that was Strucker.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah,
he's got a cool voice.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's got good looks. Yeah, he's cool. I love that movie. It was maybe my third movie poster I ever got.
Yeah, I remember seeing
Blade
it.
2.
It was cool.
It's
so cool. We'll put it right here for you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Blade poster. We probably started it in the beginning.
We'll probably started it.
We do a lot of things in post, guys.
Yeah,
that's just
fix
how
it
it
in
goes.
post. But all I got to say to that is we want to know, can you blush?
Oh God, man, what a weird part. But great fights.
Oh, yeah, big time. Wesley again bringing his martial arts experience to the movie.
Yeah.
And destroying.
Yes.
But
before we had the Faceless Army, we always had the Blade might be dying. Oh no, wait, he just drinks some blood and he's good. Like that was the thing every time.
Cue Crystal Methods calling all freaks.
Yeah, there you go.
He just starts whooping on him.
Yeah.
It's destroying, wrecking shop.
That's how he does it. That's how he gets it done. Let's see what our boy Ebert had to say about that. He says Blade 2 is really rather brilliant.
Ooh.
He actually gave it 3.5 stars. He really likes the Blade franchise.
I think he does.
He says it's an improvement on Blade, which was pretty good, and it's just Wesley Snipes being Wesley Snipes.
Yes. Yes.
So all right. Our next movie for those we talked about this is Men in Black 2. Now. After Men in Black 1, we really, and even Men in Black 1 in terms of comic to movie is very different. The comic is very serious and isn't as fun as Men in Black 1 is. But Men in Black 2, we hate that movie.
We do.
Even though it's got our boy Johnny Knoxville in it.
Yeah.
It's got a great cast.
It does.
And
there's nothing there. Nah. It's crazy. We get one of the best movie sequels followed up by one of the worst movie sequels.
And I mean, arguably, I would say that I was more excited for Men in Black 2 than I was for Blade 2.
Wow.
Yeah, even though it was kind of... But, dude...
Men in Black's
still good.
A phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good.
Still good. It's great.
Yeah. And I wanted to see more of where it was going.
Yeah, totally.
And it just went a different way.
They had this whole universe that they could have done anything.
Yes.
And it's just kind of like a paint by numbers of the first one almost. They have a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
And we get that stupid twist at the end.
Yeah.
Like it rains because you're crying. You're not sad because it rains.
Yeah.
It rains because you're sad.
And that could have been a really cool scene in another movie.
Yeah.
In another movie. In the end of, spoilers, in the end of Umbrella Academy, I think in episode 8, we kind of see the environment reacting to Ellen Page's character. And, like, that's where you put that line.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Rosario Dawson. It was like you took all this good stuff and and you just
It was
just didn't-
amazing. I
yeah,
love
you could tell
Rosario.
Tommy Lee Jones like didn't care.
Yep,
Like,
he
just
didn't wanna
wasn't a
be
part
there.
of it. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was just there for the
Yep,
paycheck.
yep,
He was just there for the
exactly.
paycheck. One that you
The Balchinian. That's
the
your
ball-
favorite.
oh,
That's
God.
your favorite.
It was such a slap in the face.
What,
Such a slap
in the face?
Yeah. Oh my God, I hated that so much. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. But a movie that we both like,
Yes.
and for as much as we have talked about it, I've only seen it the one time, is Road to Perdition, based off Max Collins' graphic novel. If you want to lay down the synopsis as you remember.
Sam Mendes directed the movie,
yeah.
American Beauty fame,
Yep.
other awesome movie fame. Essentially, it's Tom Hanks plays a mobster hitman, and he wants to kind of retire.
Yeah.
And they don't want him to do that.
Yeah.
And they kill his family, except
Yeah.
for one of his sons.
Yeah.
And they have to get out of town. But Tom Hanks wants revenge.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give the movie away.
No,
But that's the setup.
Yeah.
And basically, the road to perdition is his sister's house, where he
Yeah.
wants to get his son Michael to.
Yeah.
And
Because Tom Hanks' character, like, let's be real, there's no happy ending for a mob hitman.
No.
So we can say that.
we can just say that. And
but
it's one of the saddest scenes ever.
A young Jude Law, an
Yeah.
awesome Jude Law,
Yeah.
like a very outside of the realm. Like, I've never liked Jude Law except when he was in what made me fall in love with him was AI, a movie that everybody hates. I for
Who
some
did he
reason
play?
love it. Gigolo Joe. What do you know? I love Jude Law in that, and then I thought he was awesome here. You know, no speaking lines really.
Not
You know,
really, no,
not much. And then what's his face?
Paul Newman's in there too.
Paul Newman, which I think was that Paul Newman's last movie. Might have been.
It might have
It's
been.
one of his last films,
Yeah.
if not his last movie. But no, James Bond.
Daniel Craig, very young Daniel
Yeah,
Craig.
that was the first time I ever
That's
saw
before
Daniel Craig.
Layer Cake.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw him.
Yeah.
And which is weird because I think Sam Mendes directs the Bond movies that he's in.
He is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
Skyfall.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So he only did the one. He didn't do all of them.
I just
don't know.
remembered
I don't know
Skyfall.
off of that. Yeah, but interesting movie. It doesn't even like knowing that it's a comic book doesn't change
It
anything
doesn't,
for you.
and it follows it pretty good. But
it's good enough.
tweaked. It's tweaked.
It's a better. It might be a better representation of it.
I love the movie
The movie's
more
great.
than the
Yeah,
graphic
I
novel.
do too.
No
I do too.
disrespect,
Yeah.
but just some of the things Sam Mendes was bringing to the movie, which is the Catholicism aspect to it.
The aesthetic of it. It's I mean, again,
it's
that scene that we're
essentially a noir movie.
It really is.
It's a neo-noir movie, and again, some of the dialogue in there is just
Yeah.
it's a sad movie, and it's about fathers and sons, and not wanting to pass. You just want your son to do better than you. That's all that's what every father basically wants. Not just your son, but your kids.
Mm-hmm.
You want your kids to do better than you. And I don't want to give the ending away.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what the movie's about.
It's
great.
a long
It's amazing.
road. It's a long road.
It is
a movie
it is
goes.
a long
so
movie.
it's not action packed, but when stuff
it
happens,
hits you.
it's really cool.
It'll get you.
So definitely worth watching.
Oh, yeah,
and
please
again,
watch it.
the fact that it's a comic book actually doesn't mean anything because
It
it's a
goes
solid
into
film.
this movie goes into the same pile as A History of Violence, where it's like,
Very much
that
so.
was a graphic novel.
Yeah. It's like, oh geez, like
Yeah.
I can see why this didn't make it as a comic book.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But the big end of 2002
Yeah.
really, again, what I think is that tipping point of like, oh, we're gonna have fun. Like, oh my gosh, this is a spectacle. Spider-Man,
Yes.
Sam
This
Raimi's
is-
Spider-Man, Tobey
this is a big
Maguire,
deal.
Kirsten Dunst, James Franco,
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe, and it's so good that even though he's in the worst costume
It's a
imaginable,
Power Rangers costume.
it's a Power Rangers costume, and it's terrible.
And the man has a face like the Green Goblin.
yeah,
Like,
paint
come
that
on.
face. I
Yeah.
want to see that face go
That could
crazy.
have looked so good.
That scene where he's talking to himself in the mirror.
Come on.
Holy crap! It's so good.
That is
it's so powerful.
amazing.
And it's strong. Tobey Maguire, while he doesn't bring a lot to the Spider-Man character, his Peter Parker is good. Like you believe this nerd.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas Andrew Garfield was cool.
Right. You don't. He wasn't nerdy.
Yeah, his Peter Parker was great, but his Spider-Man was lacking.
And I attribute that to the writing.
Mhm.
He didn't have anything to really sink his teeth into. I thought he delivered it okay.
Yeah,
he just didn't have
everybody-
anything to say.
Everybody does a really good job with what they have.
Well, then of course J.K. Simmons
it's-
as the
I
one,
mean,
the only.
he's the
J. Jonah.
He's
Jameson.
he's the best part of the trilogy.
He is.
Like when we saw him, spoilers at the end of Far From Home.
Yeah. How off the chain were you?
Yeah.
Man?
If I hated Far From Home, but when you show J.K. Simmons come back, holy crap.
It was
let's
sort of
do
like that scene in Split.
It was. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know?
It was so good. It was so good. But yeah, this was the
This is a big deal.
This was huge. It was massive. The teaser trailer had you just saw the web between the Twin Towers. This was in 2001, before September 11th, and I mean it was a big deal.
It was a huge deal.
They did a great job of advertising that. Unfortunately, they had to pull that trailer after the.
But it looked so good.
So
I wonder if you can. I don't know if you can even look it up on YouTube.
You can.
You
yeah,
can.
You
it's
can.
up there.
You can.
Find look it up, kids. It's amazing. But this took what X-Men did 2 years before and just ran with it.
It was the next stage, and what they did is they distilled it. They were like, okay, we have all of these X-Men, but let's focus on just Spider-Man.
Exactly, and it got, to me, the character right.
Very much so. Very much.
This to me was showing that they were starting to be closer to the source material. Like, okay, we can take this serious.
Yeah, so much of this was like, oh my god, like this is from the
right off of Ditko.
Yeah,
you know?
Yes, exactly. Now our boy Ebert though,
yes,
he didn't really care for it.
No,
he gave it where did I write that down? He gave it 2.5 stars, like he did for X-Men, which then these movies end up being the big franchises, the restartable franchises,
totally.
Whereas Blade just died at 3.
Yeah.
And he just he didn't like the Peter Parker. He's like, I have one question about Peter Parker's character. Does the movie go too far with his extreme social paralysis? Peter tells Mary Jane he wants to be friends. Only a friend, she repeats. That's all I have to give. He's like why? Like why is he? Why can't he give more? Like. It makes sense. Again, we don't.
He realizes that's the character.
Yes, but
he's socially shut in, and the Spider-Man is his release to the world.
But I think we get that because we know the comics.
But I feel like the movie set it up really well. I think he's missing something.
I would love you guys to tell us what you remember.
Oh yeah,
and that's what a big part of this whole series of shows that we're doing is just like the memory lane. Like while it's been gold for 12 years. There's
some hacky dialogue in there.
There was some
copper, and and there was some dialogue in there that's pretty bad when he's fighting Green Goblin. He's like, "You're toast, Gobby."
Oh god, it was so bad. I think.
And then Flash is like, "I wouldn't want to fight me either."
Yeah, it was. It does not hold up. It does not hold up. Spider-Man 2 holds up well.
That's in my top 10,
and we'll get there. We'll get there. But yeah, Spider-Man 1 doesn't hold up.
But it doesn't hold up, but it sets the tone. It sets a precedent that we can take the source material.
You need that for Spider-Man 2 to still hold.
You need this for the MCU to hold.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because Raimi
did really pull from the pages. Yeah, you're going to lose.
Yeah, the Raimi really did treat the source material very well.
Yes, he did.
Now, do I like Hot Marissa Tomei as my Aunt May? I do. I appreciate that.
I like the update.
Thank you. I do.
I like that we don't get the great power, great responsibility over and over again. It was fine in this movie.
Yes.
It worked great.
Yes. And this is I mean, you got to remember, this is the world.
Yes.
Finding out this let's be real, an actual life lesson. Like something that maybe inherently, or somebody's given you in another way. But we're talking about 1962, Stan Lee saying, putting these words down. And them still holding true, them being very, very important.
Yes.
And the world heard, with great power comes great responsibility.
Very true.
And it's good. And now it's like, it's cliche now.
It is.
It's like you said, we won't even, I don't even know if they'll come back to it.
I don't think so.
I think we should.
I think they should. There's a way to do it.
When they do it, I think it'll be just like the Avengers Assemble moment.
Oh,
where it was like, hey, we're gonna edge you until this.
Yeah,
okay?
Totally.
And once we get you to the edge, here it is.
Yeah.
This is futuristic space Uncle Ben coming from Reed Richards' dad's future, and these are deep comic book cuts, and telling us, on a silver surfboard. They just totally do something ridiculous. They just go off the chain. All right, there's no way to do it. There's no way to do it.
This has also, real quick, we'll wrap it up with the Spider-Man with my favorite move. One of my unintentionally funny movie deaths is Uncle Ben.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, dude, did you eat do you have indigestion?
Because it looked like you had indigestion.
Yeah, is that bullet spicy? Yeah, he's struggling, and I guess you would struggle when you're dying, but it's just like, it looked like, honestly, it looked like he was having a stroke, not that he got shot. Like, oh, dude, I think he might.
He got shot. Yeah, he got stroked by the bullet.
Oh my gosh. a stroke of destiny.
Oh, there we go.
Kids, that's our show
There
for
we go.
today. If you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button. Leave us a comment. Give us a like. Please tell your friends. Let's get these subscriptions up. They're going up, but, you know, I'm greedy, guys. I want more, and I want to give you guys good
I want
content.
the world.
You know, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, we're coming after those other channels.
Yeah, the world is not enough. I'm not coming after anybody. I don't need anybody.
We have come for your viewers.
You can still watch those shows and also watch ours. All right, there's room. See, this is the balance here.
This is the balance. The yin and yang here.
Eric, do you have any final thoughts for us today?
Peter.
Oh, wait,
What?
Guardians.
What about it?
Pete, take my hand, Peter. It doesn't die. It doesn't die. Kids, that's our show. Thank you so much. I have been your host, Roman Chavez.
Still Erik and Roman.
And we will catch you on the next podcast.